Go.
Yo, Dita.
Yo, peace, bro.
Yo, peace to God. Yo, check this out, man. You ain't gonna believe what happened, man. We was on the Sapo radio, right? And this cat called in talking crazy, man. He was talking real crazy. I was like, yo, what's wrong with you? He's like, yo, man, I never ever call and ask you to play something for me. You know what you wanted to hear?
What do you want to do?
Yo, he was like, yo, I want to hear that gun blow. I was like, that gun blow? He's like, yeah, man, off that new Che Blak album, man, that gun blow. I was like, how it go? He was like, my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow.
Ain't scared of no man. Knife skills, gun work, plus power in both hands. Riding in the bro-ham, styling off slow jams. I got the knife at the end of my barrel in case the toast jam. I used to sit OE, wild out in whole heat. Now I stay OT, black power with mo heat. Moving through the storm, crew through the swarm. Pointing pistols at pigs, painting their uniforms. With the Mac 10, I sever cracker limbs. But Monty, that's my brother, we something like twins. He'll beat you to a poke, me, I stab you in the throat. Magnum on the foe, straight tagging the cracker toe. Calico, let him know. Step in my gather blow, leave you scattered on the floor as I walk up casual. I'm God, ain't talking about that sucker in the sky. When that beef pop off, I could be that other guy. I'm a killer, a cutthroat, warlord strapped with that fofo. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. I'm a killer, a cutthroat, a warlord strapped with that fofo. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. Willie clap, no question. Chrome cracker corrector, black baby protector. I keep that weapon. Street taught lessons. My pen possessed by the ghost of Mark Essex. Murderous journalist, homicide author. Colin Ferguson on the side of my altar. A Mac named Martha, my pump Miss Parker. Beretta call her Brenda, Regina my revolver. Two twin nines, Nina and Simone. I never keep them alone. Don't make them sing you a song. I was running through houses, peeling off thousands. Caught a case in 05, they took me to the mountains. Came back counting papers, haters dumbfounded. Plates of grilled salmon with Lady Black lounging. Sipping on spring water, fresh from a fountain. But still pull that thing with the aim of a falcon. I'm a killer, a cutthroat, warlord strapped with that fofo. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. I'm a killer, a cutthroat, a warlord strapped with that fofo. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow.
Yeah, the type of wounds that you can't put pressure on. Got you nodding your noggin, audio methadone. Everywhere I step, the machete go. Everywhere else is the fully or the semi though. UFC got white boys signing up for MMA. I ain't the type to pepper spray, I got the trunk pepper lay. Pew, another devil gone. Did them like green, had to throw them off the roof. Gentrified the hood and felt comfy. Cracker, I want your life, you could keep your money. Matter of fact, I'ma charge you tax. The slugs was free, but you gotta pay for me to detail my act. Still feeling killer, may drive by on the track. Hop out, take the stacks and straight flush the crack. Love is love, but the hate permeates. Piece it up, don't let the guard you now determine fate. I'm a killer,
a cutthroat, warlord strapped with that fofo. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. You know my gun blow, you know my gun blow. I'm a killer, a cutthroat, a warlord.
It's Dito and the Deacons, a defense in the booth. The Vanguard, man squad, you sweet as tiramisu. Tell you the truth, I don't care for gays. My view, got more balls in your mouth than an NBA hoop. Slick lines for sick minds, these Negroes are this kind. Watching The Walking Dead, heard you would cry if Rick died. How about crossbow arrows go right through Daryl? A 12-gauge shotgun barrels blasted Carol. Listen, TV stands for terrible vision. You could like it, try to live it, now you no longer living. The F's that I'm giving, like follow freedom, future and finish, or related to the actions that we needing for difference. Find the blackest place in your mind to follow your part, and lead you to the place to accept freedom or farce. Choose right and build the future, but before that can start, there's an enemy to finish. You can aim for his heart.
from the darkness came in the light. Bed-Stuy. I'm from Gateside. I was born in Bushwick. My upbringing is in Bed-Stuy. And a lot of MCs came through my block. A lot. Big Daddy Kane, Jay-Z, Jazzo, and a lot of them came on. My block was like a haven for that. I'm a fan of rap and all of it. So just being that, just being a fan of it, made me want to push a little harder. You know what I'm saying? I had a mixture of Guards and Hebrew Israelites and Islam, you know, so it came from a lot of mixture. I kind of like had a lot of this energy that was in there, so it's like a different type of philosophies in there.
But they didn't give it when it came in, it's slick because it never was just set. It was like, you got a demo deal. So the demo deal, at first you stress out, like, damn, I got a demo deal. That's good. But just say deal. You know, once you hand in the songs, then you got the deal. So I handed in the song, but I wanted to hear, yo, the deal's yours.
And 3 of us formed the Maccabees out of that. And Hellraiser came, and then Timbo came, and it was supposed to be all 5 of us, but it didn't work out. We got Black Market. We'll talk about that later.
It was my song. It was a song I called As I Die Slowly. So it was the same thing, and then we just called it America. It was the whole clan. So there's a song called As I Die Slowly. So I said, yo, I got the song. Because they would say, yo, we wanted something for AIDS. So I said, I got a song about AIDS, but it had to be all of it. It had to be the clan. So I said, America is dying slowly. And then we just ran with it. RZA loved it.
To do the next video, they was just like, sorry, there's no more videos, no more nothing. We done. So after Heavy Mental, it was like, I was really like, man, I'm done with this, you know? So I was ready to go independent then. But then MCA called me with a check. View from Masada was about to be born. I met this producer that was in there. He kept asking me, I kept going to the studio, and it was like, yo, man, this cat keep going to your studio session, you know, and he wanted to hit you with some beats. He was working there. He had dreads. It was Just Blaze. 4th Chamber, we in the studio. I'm over here with Jizza. Ghost and Ray is over there recording at the same time. And this dude, I just saw this dude in the middle of the circle, commanding it. And this, I've never seen that done, especially with the clan. Like, nobody had did that. At that time, this cat was different. And that's when my first time encountering the cannabis. We met sword to sword, man.
The Orphan is all New York. When I came out here, it was like more of a, like behind the stained glass where it started at.
But then I started getting out, and then artists, I seen people wanted to work with me and things like that. So I was like, oh, yo, this is a little different. And other than the clan, like, we was doing it because we was keeping everything in the house. It was my first time out, so I started working with other artists. So
Four Horsemen came, the idea came from cannabis towards me. Can't speak for the rest of them. And then he told me to call Corrupt, gave me Corrupt number, and Raz. And me and Raz already had a relationship, it was cool. But the first one who brought that to my attention was cannabis. He was like, yo, we gotta start a group. I wanna do it, it's gonna be me, you, Raz, Kaz, and Corrupt.
It was just special to me. I started meeting people that I was fans of myself, and like DJ Pooh and all these guys, it was just dope. You know what I mean? I didn't know they was actually listening. I just thought we was making music, and it was right there. We was all celebrating right there, and that was it. Hip hop is here to stay, and I'm a part of it. So let's go.
It means a lot to me. This is all behind the stained glass. So when I first came out here, I moved out to Manhattan Beach, and I came to Topanga, which was a whole different world. This place, mountainy, it's the view from Masada. Is the vision, is the vision.
Yeah.
It
Peace and
wasn't
Black
as bad as
Power.
I thought. It wasn't as
Hey,
bad as I thought.
hey, you know what I'm saying? Let me do my 1-2 over here, son. Brother Mayor or Mike T. May I? You know what I'm saying? No, but it should work, though. It should work. Peace and Black Power, family. Welcome to another episode of the Knowledge Video Placement Knowledge. Your host, Knowledge Ball Line. Y'all seen some of the work. This is a snippet. It's a drop in the bucket of 3 decades of dedication, 3 decades of education, 3 decades of hard lessons learned, trial, error, trials, tribulation, literal trials, and metaphorical trials to be able to give us the offerings that we come to love and enjoy from one cinematic mind, this divine cinematic mind, who has the greatest eye I ever had the privilege to witness and the work ethic to match. So we look at Gordon Parks, and I look at our brother as the Gordon Parks of this day and time. I look at him from that particular lens with the honor and the credit that he do. He put the time in, he put the work in, and he's continuing to give us this flavor in the way that only he could. So it comes my honor and privilege at this time to introduce some, present the others, and welcome here for this cinematic deconstruction of crafting a visual masterpiece with Jersey's own, the eye, Che Blak.
Peace, peace, peace. What's good with you?
I'm
What's good
good,
with it, brother?
Lord. I'm good. I'm good.
You
We
can
got a
hear me
shout
good?
out.
Can you hear me
Yeah,
good?
I hear you fine.
Oh,
Got a
oh,
shout out from Killer Priest. You know he over in Kimmy right now.
oh, that's
Talking about
peace.
you.
That's peace. Peace to the legend, the legend, Killer Priest. Just looking at the Kilometry, the documentary that we working on. Just looking at the trailer you just played earlier. Got me ready to get back to work on it. You know,
Definitely. He said the same thing.
So
And salute to Crip Jesus in the chat. You know what I'm saying? So we got a whole bunch of elements going on here working at the same time. But we here to do a cinematic deconstruction. You know, I want to get with you in regards to sharing your thoughts on going from a determined idea to the page, and then from the page to pre-production, production, post-production, all of the necessary elements in regards to telling the story properly. You know, I want to take your time, get your thoughts on it. You see what I'm saying? How do you go from a concept, which is a determined idea, something that's unseen, to the scene space in regards to how does it feel? Like, what's the elements of the story written versus what you create and craft visually, and what we see as the afterthought.
well, the first thing is you get the idea. That's the first. Before anything else, you have the idea of what you want to express. So the idea of the expression is what comes first. The second thing is you have to actually put it down, and that's very important. A lot of young brothers who are coming into this, or young brothers and sisters who coming into this off the talent, not so much off the they're coming off the ability, they're coming off the vision, not so much off the going through the schools and learning in that process. They kind of skip over that because they have it in they already know what it is in their mind, but it's very important to put it down, and now the process of putting it down is also a process because you're telling the story, and a good story is going to have 4 acts. When you're looking at a film, you're looking at 4 acts in a film. You're looking at the introduction, which pretty much introduces the scenes. I shouldn't say the scenes. I should say it introduces the setting. Where it's taking place at. It gives you an idea of the feel of how the movie is going to feel, the look for the most part. It introduces your characters and things of that nature, you know. Then you get into the second act, which is your build up. You know, usually, you know, we don't introduce the characters. Now we create the conflict. There's a conflict somewhere, and we build up to, you know, the second act is pretty much the build up of the conflict. Then you get into your actual conflict, which would be your climax. You know, you get to the climax of the film, and then after your climax of the film, you know, you then come to your conclusion, and then ultimately your end.
Now, in that space right there, what's something that you may have seen over your years doing your research, something that you've seen that was written well, whether it was a film, whether it was TV shows, whatever it is, you saw that was written well, but poorly executed in regards to how you see it. You see what I'm saying? How it was actually done in the other process, and vice versa. Something you might have seen that was mediocrely written, but executed properly. You see what I'm saying? You know, you like, damn, like this was the script. This is what the concept was. This is what the writing room looked like versus one or the other.
Right.
Or is it something that could be done? Like, is it something that could be done where
No,
you
it
see
absolutely
something that's go ahead.
it absolutely can be done. You can absolutely have uh mediocre writing with great execution, because it's the equivalent of having, you know, you're creating the picture. It's like having a portrait, right? You can have a simple as, you could have a portrait of a mug. You understand what I'm saying? And it could be the most detailed, intricate portrait, but it's a mug, though. You understand what I'm saying? And there's only but so much detail that the mug in itself is gonna have. We're talking about a plain mug now, as opposed to you know, you have a portrait, a lifelike portrait of a person. You know what I'm saying? So it's the same thing. You know, you take what you work with as a filmmaker, as the visualizer, and you create the best visuals you can. Now, um, giving an example, I'll give an example of a movie that was all over the place. It was written all over the place. Literally, it was all over the place. However, the actual style and the cinematography of it, along with the scoring, all of these elements, which is what we call the execution, was done in a fashion that it was done in a fashion of art and and pleasant, and that was Do the Right Thing. If you watch a film like Do the Right Thing, or watch that particular film, and this is not a knock to Spike Lee, but it's just my personal, what, you know, you asking me, so I'm telling you. But that particular film, the actual writing, you know, even the script, even, or I should say, even the actual dialogue was subpar in a lot of cases, you know, and it even came off cartoonish. But what kept you, what kept you uh caught up was the story wasn't a bad story. Although it may not have been well written, the actual story, as opposed to the script, was pretty decent. You know what I mean? The idea. Also, the actual cinematography, which you really gotta give a lot of credit to Ernest Dickerson, who then went on to direct Juice, who created the visual aesthetics that we seen, that we actually knew Spike Lee to be known for probably up until, I would say, up until he did Malcolm X. Malcolm X is another movie. That was a movie where, regardless if we're getting into the fact versus the fiction aspect, when you look at a movie like Malcolm X, that was a movie that, if you really break down what we seen in the movie, we seen this extravagant. Well, we seen, it starts off, we see the 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 intricacies of how to make conch, the conch for the hair, how to conch the hair. Then we go into this elaborate dance sequence, this ballroom sequence. And then from there, you know, you get a little backstory. You get a little bit of the Malcolm character, and you know, goes into the criminal, goes into prison. And then when we actually get Malcolm X, because up until that point, we're getting Detroit Red, we're getting young Malcolm, but we're not getting Malcolm X. When we finally get Malcolm X, it gets reduced to, and they were great cinematically, which is what kind of got it over. And then you had a great actor like Denzel, but then you get speech. You understand what I'm saying? Conversation with Elijah, speech, go to Mecca. You understand what I'm saying? Then he's murdered. This is what Malcolm X, the Malcolm X version of the story, got reduced to. Whereas we got all this we got time to see Malcolm, you know, getting his feet kissed. We got time to see Malcolm
pork and all that shit. Yeah.
We got time to see Malcolm eating the pork, and we got time to see Malcolm frying his hair. We got time to see Malcolm putting his head in the toilet. You understand what I'm saying? But we didn't get to see Malcolm taking the trips to act. Like, regardless of like I said, the fact versus fiction. I don't want to get too much into that. We didn't get to see story-wise Malcolm, but because we had such a great actor in Denzel, because the aesthetics was so phenomenal, like these are some phenomenal aesthetics that's put together. The scene where they out there on 125th Street, and they, you know, when they, that was phenomenal right there, like the aesthetics of it, you know. So when you're looking at that part, it you forget how poorly the story was actually being told. You forget how poor the story is being told because the acting was so stellar that you felt like you were sitting and got a glimpse into Malcolm's life. Like you really felt like you was looking at Malcolm being portrayed on the screen when you seen Denzel, just off of what he did. So I hope I answered your question, but those were two examples. I hate the fact that I even had to use Spike Lee in both of those examples. I hate that I even had to use a black director. Next time I'm gonna try to go in the annals for somebody else.
So what about movies where I could think of two examples where the dialogue carried the scenes? You know, like Pulp Fiction,
like Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs. You see what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, Pulp Fiction was that movie is a movie that the dialogue was that movie.
yeah,
The dialogue
off
and the aesthetics as well, though. You know what I'm saying? The aesthetics really was what got it over, but there was no real live action like that. Like the movie gets it gets a knock for being real brutal and graphic and all of that, but there was no real action like that. And, you know, you understand what I'm saying?
It was relegated to a few scenes, like
exactly
or three at the most. Yeah.
Exactly. What got you was the character development in the film like that. Watching the lives of these characters, you were more interested in how these characters felt and thought about topics than what they were actually executing. You were more thinking about the little story of the Rocky Horror, the guy who they got thrown off the roof or whatever, than why they were even there. You know, so absolutely. Also, which is another film that was written by Quentin Tarantino, is a film called True Romance with Christian Slater. Now that film right there, great dialogue in that movie. A little more action, but great dialogue in that movie. And it was one of those movies where the dialogue and the action met. It was a perfect amount of action, but the dialogue was just stellar.
Now, writing room spaces in regards to authenticity, you know, we're going to shift back and forth between movies and TV shows because TV shows become more relevant now and they have more of a space. Whereas when we were coming up, TV shows had a little more influence, but they didn't have the space to be discussed. So now looking at a TV show or something like that, because most of the stuff is series nowadays, as well. So writing room level of authenticity, like you and I, we discussed The Wire, we tore that back and forth. You know, what is more important to you, authenticity or relatability in the story sequence?
That's a great question. And in all fairness, I have to say it truly depends. So I'm going to assume we're talking about um, we're talking about non-fictional fiction.
Right.
However, because that's the because there's a part of me that wants to be separated from reality when I'm sitting down watching TV. You understand what I'm saying? Like I enjoy Star Wars movies, I enjoy Marvel movies. So there's a part of me that I'm not looking to necessarily relate, and I'm not looking to see reality. I'm looking to be outright entertained. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking to be fascinated with the arts and the theatrics that's presented. So now back to the question then. Um, I feel like it's hard to really understand the authenticity of something if you don't know it, if you're not around it. You understand what I'm saying? It's easy to feel like you got that idea of the authenticity. So in all reality, by default, I think for most people it will become relatability because it's we like, for example, a lot of people thought that New Jack City was authentically Harlem, that was the authentic New York, like that world existed outside of Hollywood, and that is just not real. So, but for entertainment value, though, you understand what I'm saying? People were thoroughly entertained by that, and so therefore, it was more of there was levels of relatability. Not so much people related, but there's levels of relatability in different characters, whether it's in the comic relief or whether whatever it be. So, with that being said, I feel like with a movie like that is a perfect example. It's for most people, I think it's relatability. I don't think even though when you able to relate to that type of authenticity, it's something special. That's when it's something special. And that's where something like we mentioned The Wire or even The Corner was able to capture. They were able to capture where something like Power or something like Empire is completely in the world of Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying? What's another one? There was another one that me and you, I think we discussed. We didn't discuss it like Power. I mean, like The Wire, but it was definitely authentic. I'm trying to think.
I know we went at Belly and a couple other joints. We went at Belly.
And that was a cinematically, cinematically. Now here, I'm glad you mentioned that because this is just to rewind a little bit what you were saying. Cinematically, Belly was a great story. Belly actually was a pretty good story. You know, the crime caper, it was in the realm of reality. Of course, they had to have a little bit of fantasy in there for Hollywood to entertain us, but it was in the realm of reality. Brothers from New York do things like that. They travel, they get money out of state. The police, the setting them up, and these things happen. You know what I'm saying? And some of the things was a little bit over the top, but the story was decent. But where a movie like that could have went wrong for someone like me was in the acting. You had, there was the acting could have been a lot better. And then because you have a lack of acting, there's certain things that you have to start to be able to, like there's certain camera tricks, there's certain angles and there's certain shots that now you got to create expression now because the talent is not giving you that expression. So now you have to literally create expression through camera shots and through angling and things of that nature. And when you watch a film like that, one great way to get expression is in close-ups. The eyes, even the mouth talking, the eyebrows, the side of the face. Like you can get good expression from close shots. If you watch Belly, you don't see close-ups like that in that film. You barely see any, if you do. I don't even know if he has any close-ups in that movie. I think the only close-up was when my man was eating the banana. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like that right there is where I feel like he kind of failed at. You know, when you look at that with the execution of that movie, being that he had actors that wasn't going to give him the job he needed all around. Now, as the artist, now as the director, he has to create.
Now there's another. This is an underlying question. Shooting a video, being a videographer, you did a bunch of video, so you know that world. Shooting a video and shooting a film, there's a switch that there's a difference. Is that correct, or am I reaching?
No, absolutely. It's absolutely is even now more than ever. Now more than ever. Before it was a lot of similarities. Before you were seeing, before the videos had a more cinematic feel. They now what we look at them and sometimes we feel like they have a cinematic feel, but they just have a cinematic theme. These days we see videos with more of a cinematic theme than an actual cinematic feel and shot in a cinematic style. But when you're doing a music video, it's a whole nother world to me personally, as far as putting together a film. When you're putting together a film, you're creating scenes. If you're doing an actual film, a film is a bunch of scenes that you film that you line up and make one cohesive story with. You understand what I'm saying? So you're just shooting a bunch of these different scenes, and then you're taking those scenes and then you're lining them up in a way that tells the story that you want to tell. When you're shooting a music video, you're shooting a feel, you're shooting an expression. The music, you want to make the video look like the music sounds. You want to be able to see the music. You want to be able to see the the colors in the music to give it, whether you want it to have a cool look, whether you want it to have a warm look. You understand what I'm saying? Whether you want to go black and white, whether you want to go grimy, whether you want to make it crystal clear, however it is, you have to be able to see the music, to put the music down and marry the music with the visuals, especially more now than ever, because like I said before, it was more simple. Before it was performance scene, maybe a couple of B-roll shots, and then that was a music video. And then, or you might have did the little story. You might have had a little story, which was more in the cinematic lane of telling a story. You might have did something like maybe Scarface, Minute to Pray, Second to Die. You might have had something like that, or maybe NWA, 100 Miles of Running. Or you might have had something like Special Ed, Got It Made. You understand what I'm saying? Like these had different styles. One was more cinematic, one was more based on performance shots and just the rapper, and just focused on the rapper rapping as opposed to giving you a story to match the video. Today was a good day, gave you a story to match the video. So even when it was put together, it had to be put together in scenes, and you got to put the scenes together with a certain cohesiveness that's more similar to making a film. Whereas nowadays, when you're doing a music video, it's a lot of special effects. It's a lot of camera tricks, a lot of angles, a lot of stop and go, a lot of freeze frames, a lot of changing up the speed and whatnot, a lot of double takes of shots and things like that to add the flavor that before it would be performing shot, and then that same flavor would be your B-rolls added in here and there. So it's way different. Nowadays, you gotta be more Steven Spielberg than Martin Scorsese when you're doing a video. You gotta be more special effects, more razzmatazz than anything.
Now, I showed you this video on here before. Since we're having this discussion, I want to see if your answer changes again when you look at it now versus when you looked at it the first time, because you've seen the video already. You've seen the song, you like the video. So I want to see if your answer changes. I'm going to play this joint with Neelam, Danique, and Golden Chat.
You can tell, COINTEL, my clique has never failed. My boat has never sunk, my ship has never sailed. My hope is never shaken, my spirit is never broken. My legs are never open, my words will always be quoted. My vision is focused. Tell the POTUS I don't trust him, he'll never be noticed. I think it's time that I put you all on notice. I'm the one, David Ruffin, I'll never be Otis. If I did it, then it better work. The music industry hates me cause I'll never twerk. I'm in a different world, each verse brings the metaverse. Optometrist, I change vision like the Oculus. Watch me fly over Metropolis. Tell all the populace, rise from sarcophagus. No hypothesis, I see apocalypse. Muhammad's disciple speaks like a prophetess. We got him like we got him like, yeah. We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got them like. It's they love from the west, coming strong, Cali's best. We got them like. Tell the people we coming through and we got them like.
See, I done came from the bottom. I usually choose peace, today we choose violence. And they don't really know what to do, and I'ma keep banging the truth. Lyrically impeccable, irrepressible spectacle. I could turn a vegetable into an intellectual. My ancestors celestial, go beyond the skeleton. Fact checking these rappers, none of these credible. If it don't apply to the fly, it's a hypothetical. It's just the type of that you kicking is unacceptable. If you're not helping me grow, I'm just not available. I want the whole left side of a decimal, incredible. I ain't even hardly reached my pinnacle. Jump in the cypher and turn it into a festival. Bang on the game till the game need medical. I'ma keep grinding till the it's unpreventable. Middle finger, you haters, but that'll be unprofessional. We is just not compatible. I am too undetectable. Put the pedal, the metal, hitting your mental. My pen penetrating your sensory. You looking terrible. Whoa, whoa, all I see is green light bulbs. East New York, Brooklyn, let it go. My light might be an iPhone. Third eye, I see the rival. See my arrival.
We got him like. We got him like. Yeah. We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got him like.
It's Danique, run the East New York, we run the streets.
We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got him like.
You know. We the creme de la creme. They give us accolades, but that's God working through us. We send praises up to Him. Brotherhood tight, sisterhood tight, nation building, team players. We all shooting in the gym. Got the guys with me, got the FOI with me. If we gotta go to war, then we fighting to the death. Not a betting man, but if I was, and you ask me who I put my money on, you know I'm putting it on them. Come through, they gotta respect, they gotta tip they hat. Don't disrespect our women, word bond, we'll kill for that. In the field, working with bullets, fly like we in Iraq. I do this for the family, I rap, but this way deeper than rap. Stand up, solid soldiers with me, we don't back though. I don't deal with milk toast brothers like I'm lactose. Every time I come in first, they act like they was rooting for me. Whole time I know they wanted me to come in last though. La ilaha illallah, Muhammad or Rasulallah. If it wasn't for you, I know I wouldn't have made it through Allah. Grant me protection on this mission that I pursue, Allah. I know with you behind me, there ain't nothing that I can't do, Allah. You know.
We got him like. We got him like. Yeah. We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got him like.
It's GC from the shop. FOI till I die.
We got him like. Tell the people we coming through and we got him like. It's in love.
I remember your answers first. So I'm gonna ask now to see if your answers change. What you think about the video overall, and which rapping aside, what from a cinematic space, which artist had the best sequence?
The sister.
Okay. So what you think about the video from a cinematic perspective?
I thought the best part of the video, I felt like was the drills. Like that set the video off, and it like it looked like the video sounded. You know what I'm saying? It sounded like preparation, getting ready, a war card, a war chant almost. You know what I'm saying? Like it had that sound. It sounded like it should have been in black and white. It didn't sound bright. You understand what I'm saying? It didn't sound colorful. I thought that the drills, and I thought that the angles, I think they might have used like a crane. I don't know if it was a drone or a crane, but that the way when they was giving the overview with the crossing and all of that, with the drills going on, and she's rapping in the middle and then going from shot to shot, I thought that was dope. I thought that the transitions when the second brother was the third, when the third brother, well, he was the second brother, but the third artist was rapping. I thought some of them transitions was right on time. You know, one of my favorite parts when he was breaking down, he was talking that combat, and he had to put in the work. He stomping my man back out. That was probably my favorite part, but it's probably not what I think is the best part, but it's my personal favorite part. But you know, I thought Danique, that's the brother name, right? Danique. I thought that his part. It's funny because I don't know if I thought this the first time watching it, but the second time watching it, I was like, you know what? I might have put his part in color. You know what I mean? I might have colorized his part. I might have, you know, gave it a little throwback look or whatever. Maybe throw a little grind on it, a little grain on it, I should say. But I probably would have colorized his part.
So since you were there, I was going to ask that anyway, partially. What are the elements of this video that you would have used versus what you wouldn't have? If you had to shoot the same video, same people, same song, same locations.
I'm gonna be 100. The videographer, whoever shot that video, they seen that song. Like, that's such a hard question for me because they seen the music so well and married the music with the visuals so well that it's hard for me to think of a better way to attack that video or a better way to execute that video in my personal opinion. The sister scenes, I couldn't have done that no different. And I like the way that the camera moved with the music, whether it was the same shot jumping in and out from, you know, bringing us closer to further just to move with the beat. Like that was just so on point right there. You know, and it wasn't overkill either. It was like perfect to the point where you actually don't notice it. Like you don't notice that type of stuff. But what would I have done different though? To answer that though, if there's anything I would have done different, probably would have colorized the Neek part. Probably would have even colorized the brother part. I would have had a little bit of their stuff in black and white, especially when you have the drill. I probably would have tried to keep most of the drills in black and white, but I definitely probably would have colorized the Neek's part. And some of the transitions, especially I think on the third brother when he was rapping and they was splitting the screen up. Some of them I wasn't really fond of like that. Other than that, though, in all honesty, though, like my man did a perfect job. Though I could give my criticism and all that, but that still doesn't say that that's not a plus job, though.
You said similar things the last time you seen it. So I just wanted to make sure, so
Okay.
we had a critical eye. You said sis had the best thing, you know what I'm saying, what she was doing. And Golden Child is in front of Mas Mariano. So
Mhm.
I'm sure that they was instructed on protocol,
Right.
this filming, what could be seen, what they're showing. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think that kind of affected what they could do because he in Chicago because he's from Chicago and you know where he at versus Donique walking through Brooklyn.
Right.
So latitude's a little different, range is a little different, and he walks into to create the element that they still in the street. They're still in the street in Chicago.
Mhm.
They're FY's in the street. You know what I'm saying? The brothers, they're in the street. They're out there. You understand? So that captures an element that's there. Donique meets up with the fruit and they on the move. You know what I'm saying? Like so that kind of purview with him coming in and them capturing that, they're not slowing down. They're not waiting. They're not gonna wait for you. You understand what I'm saying? Like that's like mandate. They moving out. You see them in full swing. It's not like they like chilling, waiting for him to catch up. So he has to make that descent to the front and rap at the same time. You know what I mean? So I think that element is ill, and I would have liked to see it because it's still because I want to ask you about the Warriors movie. The Warriors movie, you know what I'm saying? The sights and sounds of New York, but I get there in a second. But the point was, like, I'm agreeing with the sentiment because it gives you sort of the feel, but not at the same time. Like whoever did that ain't from New York.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like they would have did something different versus, but like you said, the marriage to the song, seeing the song, boom, more of the details of the intricacies of the nation versus the location. So the people were more important than the surrounding aspects of it. And then when you're talking about special effects and transitions and things like that, those things had a higher priority than where they were actually using the environment, you know, to your advantage.
And that's where my style would have differed when it came to especially those scenes, because those scenes right there is using the elements, whereas the other shot looked like it was the all green screen work or something. You know what I'm saying? It was
Right.
wherever they was at, it was just there was no background. It was just white, and
Yeah.
which I liked. I enjoyed that, and I would have loved to have that shot and been able to work with that and had something to been able to play with that. Um, as far as Danique and the other brothers scene, pardon me for not knowing his name, but the other with them two brothers, with they scenes, I probably would have went less on some of the transitions, or not even the transitions, some of the effects, because the transitions would still be important in a scene like that, especially when you're limited. So the transitions were still going to be important. However, I probably would have fell back a little bit on the effects and tried to create more of I would have tried to create more of a story effect. I mean, not a story effect. I'm sorry. I would have used the elements more. I would have tried to play with the elements more. I would have made the elements more of a character in the story. When you see me do videos and stuff, you see things like street signs, you see things like landmarks. You always see that because I try to make that a part of the video. I try to make that the co-star. I try to make the location the co-star of the video.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, because you're still telling a story, and I want to get into them visual layers of storytelling. You know, you're still following the format that you named with us. You know, in some places they're more pronounced than others, but in all of them, the elements are there. If you look, you see it. You'll see that there's something, and even when it's not there fully pronounced, you still seek to introduce something in there. So either the elements do it, your visuals do it, or the lyrics does it. So it's like, all right, boom, there's the conflict. You see what I'm saying? Here's the climax. Here's the resolution. You see what I'm saying? This is the setting. This is what it feels like. This is what it smells like. This is what it tastes like. Like looking at a film like Warriors. Warriors was one of my favorite joints back in the day, and it's one of those that continues to reign because it has those elements that you're looking for. So much so, you fast forward, you see John Wick 4. John Wick 4 got the elements from the Warriors in there. Shorty on the radio, down to the song. You see what I'm saying? Like, so iconically, when you look at it, it's like, damn, these are the elements that make something great, even though the movie might have been a little as far as far as what we seen, but as far as the move and how it was going and the impact that it made, you see directors way down the line still like, yeah, that right there. So I wanted to, put these elements together in regards to the story and hear your thoughts on a film like The Warriors.
So basically, we're talking about The Warriors. You want to know? You're asking me basically. I'm trying to.
Like your take. You see what I'm saying? As far as the film goes from a cinematic perspective, like all the elements we were discussing, like so, we looking at writing, we looking at elements, or from that perspective.
Well, the writing, it was good. I wouldn't say it was great. It was, it was the story was a good story. You understand what I'm saying? As far as the what they had to go through and what was going on, like that was good. The execution of it was very, very good. As far as the editing and the suspense, because what that movie played on was the suspense, what's gonna happen next, and it kept a certain pace, and for that movie to keep that pace and keep that level of suspense throughout the time period, with I think they might have gave you like two breaks in that movie. You know what I'm saying? There might have been two regrouping periods for them in that whole film. So with that being said, like it was definitely a one of those movies where take out the element of knowing New York and knowing how it, New York really feels like. Just from a viewer being entertained from an entertainment perspective, the movie it did its job. Like it did its job. The director clearly wasn't from New York. He clearly wasn't from New York. That was that, but that's one of those things that doesn't really. All right, how do I say this? You have to consider that when you're looking at a great execution, you have to look at how authentic was it. However, you have to understand that authenticity is going to suffer and has to suffer in a lot of cases for the value of entertainment. You understand you understand what I'm saying? Like that's it. It has to happen like that. I can't give you what I'm seeing every day in the streets for real and expect you to really be entertained by that. You need to see something that leaves the element of your reality, whether it's based in your reality or not.
What elements of your reality sprinkled in there?
Indeed. Well, that's what makes it. That's what I'm saying. That goes back to the part that's relatable, as opposed to authentic. You know what I'm saying? You see those parts sprinkled of your reality, and you relate to that. But it might not necessarily mirror the reality that you know, but you can relate to that. You can relate to certain characters or certain elements. You know, you can relate to whether it's the scene, whether it's the location, whether it's the lingo. You know, you relate to certain elements. Something like the Warriors. You don't necessarily relate to the world that they live in. You just relate to the drama. You relate to the volatileness. You understand what I'm saying? That part right there becomes the most relatable part. Whether it's exaggerated or not, whether it's nonstop or not, there's still a relatability to that.
There's that scene where they're running and they're pissed. And homie stops and he says, "You know what? I'm tired of running." He said, "Yeah, me too." And they get busy. They do what they do best. This is the reason why they was called there. And the other spot that they went through, they wasn't called there. There was a meeting tonight, and we didn't know nothing about it. You understand what I'm saying? So them versus the orphan. And there's a scene where they're fighting because they physically fought. There's no stunt doubles. There's none of that shit. They rock. They got a chance to rock out. And they broke Buddy's ribs in the park. Broke his ribs. You understand what I'm saying? Like Duke got messed up and he got his ribs broke. You know, so, and they trashed him. There's a scene where they cut Duke out. He gets fired while they're shooting the film. The one who gets into it with the cop and he gets thrown over and it looked like he get hit by the train.
Mm-hmm.
So they wrote him out because he got into it with the director and shit. So there are elements where everybody that they saw, they introduced us to these characters because character development is another strong suit for you. And when we saw them and when we were introduced to them, they're introduced in the skill set that's most attractive to them. You understand what I'm saying? Like Duke that was ready for some action. Mm-hmm. He's already hitting on the joint like it's a speed bag already. Like he don't care nothing about none of that shit. He hoping that some shit pop off so he can get busy. He don't care nothing about none of that. I'm here for that. You see what I'm saying? So there's a couple people in the crew that's what they're there for. They're not there for nothing else. So my man that looked like he was a little shook, he was the one that was always on point. You know what I mean? And he was the artist. So he's there, but he wasn't really supposed to get into nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like he there for that. I want the world to know we was here type situation. And he was the dude to see outside of it because he wasn't so immersed in it. And number two, that became number one. He was what number one so lockstep that he already knew what it was. Then he showed why he was number two when it was time to really get that. So that shit was bugged out. But they also showed how deep infiltration goes as far as the elements of that. Because you look at a figure like Cyrus, who's up there talking about uniting everybody, and he's speaking like Kwame Ture. You see what I'm saying? He's speaking like Kwame Ture, and the police response with the infiltration, homie talking to the police on the fucking phone and shit. Mm-hmm. So the little dude that had the bottles, he's talking to the police on the phone, but then there's a scene that shows why the police showed up at that other stop that they had to run from. Because Tommy had called the police and sent the police over there. Messiah, the black dude who walked in and said, "Who's the warriors?" Like, I mean, who are the warriors? So it's an interesting joint where they become iconic from these roles, and they're in these roles forever. You know, like with the exception of Messiah, because that's the only film he ever did. And he died, you know, not too long after that. It was the only film he was ever in. And we don't get a chance to see the development. So these elements and what you said was so ill, like I had to remember that authenticity is gonna suffer because of entertainment. It's gonna suffer because of that entertainment value element. Because when the film ages over time, that becomes a factor. You know, something that might have been ill. We was little. We look at it now. We're like, get this shit out of here. But certain things stand the test of time. So now the imprint I wanted to talk about. You look at The Godfather, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Godfather becomes Goodfellas, Casino, The Sopranos, Saints of Newark, all of these other joints that comes from the series right here. And they're compelling. And the same guy who's writing the Godfather series, well, as far as the directing, is directing Superman. See what I'm saying? So he's right. He's in the same lane with these things.
It was the same author.
Right. Yeah. So they putting them together.
Mario
and they
Puzo. He wrote Superman. Yeah.
Right. So they're doing this together, right? They're doing this shit to where
the movie Superman.
The movie Superman. So now to the point where Christopher Reeve ain't Christopher Reeve. Superman in the wheelchair. You know what I'm saying? So the elements of that, every Italian person you met, you was thinking they was in the mafia. You see what I'm saying?
Some type of mob ties, right? Somebody
mob ties, right?
They knew something, somebody, right?
Right. So imprint in that space. How do you make a character? Like you see, one thing I could take from the power situation is 50 made you love who he wanted you to love and hate who he wanted you to hate. You see what I'm saying? So what goes into proper character development to leave a lasting impression, like Bishop versus Steele? You know what I'm saying? Like something like what goes into the elements?
Well, they're both pretty memorable characters.
Yeah, but one over you had to choose though. You know what I'm saying? If you choose what's the elements that goes into the any of them, because you could pull any of them out now and remake their stories because of the space that we in now.
I think it's two things, and it really is one thing, but it's the fascination, and it's the who you rather vicariously live through. Whose experience are you looking at? Do you rather vicariously live through? And you look at them, and I'm glad you even brought up Juice, because as you were talking about the Warriors, in contrast, I was thinking about Juice. But as we're saying, you mentioned the different characters. That's really what it boils down to in most cases. Vicariously, who would you rather live through? Would you rather live through Steele's character? Or would you rather live through Pac's character? And it's the experiences. You know, you want to be the guy that don't give a fuck and pull out the gun and bust off in the elevator. You know what I'm saying? You want to be in a bar slapping the bottle. You know what I'm saying? You want to pull up and my man shut the locker, and it's like a horror film. You standing there with the hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Like you would rather that than, you know what I mean? Fat Boy said your name. You know what I'm saying? We didn't kill him though. You know what I'm saying?
You would rather macking the hose. I was clocking the hose. You would rather clocking the hose. We didn't kill him. So I think that right there is in a nutshell. Who would you rather be live through vicariously?
That's perfect. I'm gonna tell you 2 iconic still scenes that happened in the same scene where I knew I was trying to figure out why Still was with them. I thought they was playing Still to the left, like Still was a do-boy. When that vase broke in Still house, Still could have murdered every one of them, and nobody could have stopped Still. Still didn't need a gun. Still didn't need nothing. You understand what I'm saying?
He slapped the money out of Adam. He slapped the money out of Q hand.
His face?
Yeah, his face was
I said, Still about to wreck out. You about to see why he's Still and why ain't nobody trying to get in his face. Nobody tried to piece it. Like everybody was real attentive and trying to piece the shit up. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, Still about to wreck out. So I'm like, that moment he was Still, right? That's the second moment. The first moment, he's eating the food and laughing at Bishop. He's eating like he looked up like he like I control my life. This is what he's saying to him. He's like, I control my life. And then he said, Fat Chops, I got more control over your life than you do. He said, how you figure that? He said, I'm letting you breathe. And he ain't look at him like he was an authority figure. He looked at him Still looked at him like he was a sucker. He was like, you can't walk up and down your block without getting fucked with by riding mask. Let's not forget that. And he laughed at his ass like nothing. I was like, oh shit. I missed something. I'm like, I missed him. I missed something.
They go back to the second grade.
Yeah.
So you know that was like what, maybe juniors, maybe seniors. So you missed about 10 good years. Of development.
Yeah, I think the dynamic between them was authentic and relatable. I think that Bishop ain't want to see Q with them hands because he's seen them hands before on him personally. And he knew what that work was. So he like, all right. And Still did something like unthinkable, and they ain't want to fuck with Still at all. Especially when he smacked that money out of it, fuck that money. You understand what I'm saying? He just like, yeah. I wish somebody would have got tough with him, like, yo, Still shut the fuck up in your crib. Like, yeah, nah. That would be something different. Right? So, hey, we got a guest, man, live from the middle, from the east of the middle. When the east is in the house, oh my God.
We got a guest, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, and we got the Iron Soft of Medina, live from Kemet, man, the greatest lyricist of all time.
Indeed, that's a fact.
In the building.
Oh, we got the priest. We got the priesthood.
What up, Lord? Peace.
Almighty.
Everybody here, Kemet,
Yeah, it's still Black August. You see it?
I see it. Yeah, I see it. That spot right there. What's the size, my Lord? Shay, what's good?
Same fight, different round, brother.
Yeah, indeed. I can't wait for the finishing of the joint. Word.
Indeed. We definitely got to get back on track with that, man. Seeing that trailer just got me inspired all over again.
Hey, you know what it is?
Got me ready to get saddled back on that. You feel me?
Yeah, the story don't finish, man. Keep building upon it. That's all. Word. Yeah, I'm out here in Kemet right now. Yeah, I see the one right outside the now.
Yeah, how's it coming? Outside the now. How's it coming?
Incredible. mind blown. I can't even express it. Where we about to go to the pyramid right now. After we go to the we want to go get this and we're gonna go to the Jesus.
Okay.
After we get the
Going to
garb.
Giza?
Yeah. Job up.
You want to
Right here. You see solo yourself.
Look at Solo.
Yeah. All people right there.
word.
Yeah.
So y'all on the tour?
Just
Y'all taking the
physical.
tour?
Yeah. That's some routes and shit we'll do. Word. They're hard. Word. What's going on though?
We're building on
How to do
movies.
it up? Oh, yeah. No for that. That's how you go in. Word. No,
Yeah,
for
we're
the
building
movie.
on the cinematic elements of the movies.
Yeah.
You the greatest storyteller that ever lived. What's one of your favorite elements as the greatest storyteller of all time that you enjoy the most?
You break it up.
I was saying for
To do it
you,
again? One of my favorite.
I said, yeah, one of your favorite elements as far as storytelling goes.
Deja vu. I'm going to be out. Come out, Lord.
Are you
All
out?
right, peace.
You got the priest to stop in. No, that was peace.
Yo, he said Deja Vu, the movie. That's
Deja
crazy.
vu.
You remember that joint with Denzel?
Denzel
Erica Alexander and all that?
Time traveling.
Yeah.
That's a fact. It was definitely an ill joint. Definitely an ill joint. Denzel, Denzel was one of the he can make or break a movie. He can make the movie something different. But I don't want to get too much into Denzel too much. Especially I don't want to say that negative about Denzel. Because Paul Mooney once made a joke about, when we start to enjoy our celebrities too much, they take them from us. Right. You know what I'm saying? And like Denzel, I don't think he left us ever. I don't think Denzel has ever left us. Right. However, they definitely put Denzel in a certain position. And even certain film roles that he began to take questioned me of why he chose to take these roles. I mean, Denzel's, he's in that position, in that space and place in Hollywood where, he doesn't have to die. He can always get the girl. You understand what I'm saying? Like he's in that space and place. I'm the hero. I get the girl there.
I think he dictates his terms, though. I think there were certain films, like Training Day, out of his mouth, he said that kind of character had to die in the film.
Right, because the character I don't think was actually initially written to die.
Yeah, I think he said he wanted him to die. I always wanted to see a part 2 that's a prequel with Samuel Jackson as his training officer.
That would be interesting.
Either Samuel Jackson or John Goodman, one of those two as his training officer, because his training officer is the guy that trained him, that brought him to Roger, and like a younger version of him, going to the force, thinking he's gonna save the world, and learning the true corruption and how it absorbed him and how everything kind of comes into being. I think that's a story that deserves it. How he links his crew together, and then it ends off with them telling him about, Jake coming in. You know what I'm saying?
That would be it. Well, Antoine Fuqua, definitely a great director. He's went on to do the Equalizer series. I do feel like Training Day was his best full-length feature as of date. Right. I wasn't really, really big on Kings of Brooklyn.
Yeah, I was happy to see Wesley Snipes in the film coming home. You know what I'm saying? Just coming home from that bid in the film.
Yeah, because Wesley was like hands off.
Yeah.
Hollywood was treating Wesley like a school zone, 1,000 feet away. So it was definitely great to see Wesley in that space and place.
And him and Don Cheadle in the film at the same time,
which is what like sometimes you see films and you look at the talent and it's like 95 Golden State, 94, 95 Golden State. You got all this talent, but it doesn't equal a championship. You know what I'm saying?
The 97 Knicks, the 98 Knicks, the 99 Knicks.
Look at a movie like Death at a Funeral.
Yeah.
Here you have a movie with Chris Rock. You have Morgan Freeman. You have Martin Lawrence. Was Danny Glover was in that, right?
Yeah.
You have Danny Glover and a few other people that I'm forgetting to mention. Was Monique in that one? I'm not sure. Maybe I'm confusing Roscoe Jenkins. But either way, you had a slew of talent.
Right.
And the movie was still trash.
Super.
Exactly. So it's like
Tracy Morgan, Luke Wilson, Regina Hall, Keith David, Loretta Devine. They had an all-star cast.
You had an all-star cast.
Yeah. Even a little midget dude.
Even a little midget dude. And the movie still turned out to be trash. So it's just one of them.
Kevin Hart.
But when you're looking at films, though, you're looking at a movie. The plots for movies don't differ from movie to movie. It's just how they're gonna tell it to you. But the story changes, but the basic of the plot is based on different elements. It's a love story. So in the love story, you have to have the man, you have to have the woman, they have to be introduced. There has to be some type of adversity, or things have to go well. Then there has to be some type of adversity that threatens the relationship. Then we have, like we call it, the resolution, and then we have the conclusion, right? You have a movie of revenge, right? Whether it's, somebody's family is killed, their wife, whether it's something happened to them drastically, but there's the movie of I have to get you back. So the movie starts off maybe in a good place and space for somebody, then something happens to them, and then the rest of the movie they're seeking revenge until they get their resolution, right? Movies only have but a certain element. You understand what I'm saying? Like when I say plot, there's only about maybe 4 or 5 plots that you can actually have in a movie.
Right.
What differs though from the plot, which we don't see, is the theme. See, the plot is the art. That's the artist being the artist. But the theme is the scientist now. The theme is when the scientist applies his science. Because the theme deals with the elements. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
For example, Dave Chappelle had a show he wanted to air years ago, right? And the show never aired. And one of the reasons was he had issues with the producers, and it was on a character. He had this character that was supposed to be his platonic roommate, female friend, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a Puerto Rican. Now, the producers wanted to make her white. That right there completely changes the theme of that film now. You understand what I'm saying? The theme is what talks to your subconscious and what talks to your spirit. If I take a movie, if I take a TV show, if I take the Cosby Show, I take Bill Cosby as a doctor I take Claire Huxtable as a lawyer, right? And I don't change none of those elements. I have the story. I put the story in Brooklyn, but now I make Claire a Filipino. I've literally changed the whole theme of this show now.
Right.
I made Claire a European. I've literally changed the theme of the show. And in both cases, it's a different theme now.
Right.
And that right there is what you leave the film with. The story is usually a far gone conclusion. When you go to a movie, you usually know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. That's you. You don't go to see Bad Boys expecting Will Smith and Martin Lawrence not to find a way to make it out of the situation at the end. You understand what I'm saying? You don't go to see Indiana Jones not unfold the plot or find the treasure.
Unless you us.
Unless you us, and you always hoping, and you watch G.I. Joe every episode, hoping Cobra Commander somehow doesn't get his plan full, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is, it's a far gone. That part is a far gone conclusion. I'm watching Iron Man. I don't think Iron Man is going to lose at the end. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever it is, Superman. I don't think Zod is going to defeat Superman at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying all that to say the theme, though, the theme is that's what's going to stick with you. So having talented actors, who is to be blamed for the movie being trash? The director or the producer? Well, what makes the movie trash? And that's even something that could be subjective. So, like, if we're saying that the movie is trash, right?
Right.
Was it the story is it the story that's trash and we couldn't get in the story? Because good actors can actually save a movie, and in some cases they can't. So I'm not even going to sit there and act like they can always do it. In some cases, they just can't do it. And in those cases, it can be the director, it could be the producers. It could be the producers saying this scene has to go, this scene isn't important to the story. And when they get into that cutting room, what gets cut? So it's a lot of elements that could actually outright make a movie trash. You know, it could be the director shot it and it just didn't shoot it properly. He just had a fucked up vision for it. It could be just the terrible writing and they was going in different directions when they were shooting it. It could be so many different elements.
There's a variant to that. Too much talent versus too much talent where it's good and too much talent where it's bad. Too much talent in Harlem Nights is fucking phenomenal. Too much talent in life is phenomenal. Too much talent at Death at a Funeral is horrible.
Well, you know what I'm saying? You have to look at the direction of that talent, though. In a situation like that, you absolutely have to look at the direction. You know, I mean, because that's how the movie is filmed. That's how everybody falls in line and gets in the pocket. Everybody gets in the pocket based on the leader. The director is who leads the film. When you have too much talent in a bad way, what that actually means is you have people not falling in the line to the vision of the director. Right. You have people who are not seeing what they have their own idea now, and they want to rework things the way that they feel it should be done.
They're trying to make the movie instead of be the talent.
Exactly. Instead of being brought in to say, this is the element that we want you to add, they feel like, well, this is the element that I add, so I'm going to do this, that, and the third. You know,
right.
Perfect example. I hope I don't sidetrack myself too hard on this one. But the Beverly Hills Cop was initially written for Sylvester Stallone. It was initially supposed to be a Sylvester Stallone vehicle. the director and Sylvester Stallone had so many problems that he ended up not wanting to work with Sly and basically kicked Sly, like they basically fired Sly or they went their separate ways. However the story goes, him and Sly went their separate ways, and then they ended up bringing on Eddie Murphy. Now there's different versions of the story of how Eddie got brought on. Some say Sly even suggested him. Either way, Eddie Murphy gets brought in. The movie becomes the movie that they basically had vision because of Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy brought the movie that they wanted. The movie that Sylvester Stallone was trying to make, he ended up. What's that?
Tango and Cash.
No. Cobra.
Oh, yeah, makes sense. Okay. But I was thinking about along the lines of the funny shit.
Of course.
Tango and Cash. But yeah, Cobra definitely. And that's him. That's the Eddie Murphy trying to do Cobra back then. Nah. No way.
Exactly. Because
and the same is true with Sly trying to do Beverly Hills Cop. No way. Not working.
No way. Not working. Yeah. 2 different movies.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just an example of the talent not following the direction. A film like Harlem Nights, you have somebody like Eddie Murphy. These are peers of his as well as teachers and those who inspired him. So he's looking at role models and peers in the same room and basically bringing them together to do what they do.
Right.
He didn't ask Red. He didn't say, Red Fox, I want you to play, somebody outside of Red Fox. He said, I want Red Fox. I need the Red Fox. I want his flavor. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, in Della Reese, he had Della, like, he looked for these characters to be them, and he let them be in their element to create that film. And that's what made that film what it was.
Yeah, and the space for improv, which made him great too. Made him great. And it's what made Beverly Hills Cop great. They said that there was gap in the script for him to just improv. The only other actor they said that was able to do that was Jim Carrey. You know what I'm saying? They let Jim Carrey improv, and that's what he did. You know, but it like somebody like an Adam Sandler, he had to do his own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like he had to take his show on the road and do his own thing because they wasn't going to let him do that.
Right.
Because they thought that was a tank off the beaten path, and that's a small hat. They're not gonna. But if you do that over here, you're gonna do that over here quietly. You're not gonna do that with the rest of us.
And it's funny too, because with Eddie, Beverly Hills Cop was not initially a comedy. Yeah. It was an action. It was an action buddy cop film. You know, which of course is going to have its comedic elements, but it was not initially created to be a comedy. And even if you look at it, the comedic element only came from the comedian.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't a bunch of slapstick shit going on. It wasn't a bunch of crazy punchlines. All of the comedy element came from the dealings with Eddie Murphy's character.
Right.
For the most part.
But yeah, now you have to have some kind of satire, some kind of something in all of the movies now. If you remember, they did add the Cobra elements. They just reserved the Cobra elements for whoever the antagonists were. They came in with that. So, you know, they made both true.
Right.
So they'll put in like Bridget Nielsen or whoever these people was. So it makes sense why she was in the film. If this was supposed to have been a slide joint, you know what I'm saying? So They kept the elements that they were looking for, that he was looking for, just minus him.
Right.
Then they put him in the joint. Remember, Eddie did the 48 hours joint and then all of these joints to the point where now Arnold Schwarzenegger, that was supposed to have been like the big action dude, has to do some kind of, it's not a tumor type of situation, kindergarten cop and, that shit, twins with Danny DeVito. Like, he has to bring an element where he's not seen as the Terminator or, the Cat and Predator. too. It's just wild. But yeah, I want to do some more of these. I want to make this a series with you where we, we could take particular examples and, develop them as they go. But before we go, I want to get your thoughts on one of your own videos, as if you didn't make it. You understand? I want you to look at one of your joints as if you didn't make it and get your take on your own work before we leave. That's cool?
Go ahead. Let's see. Let's see how we can do this.
Just got a call from the comrade. He said I need a favor, blood. That ain't nothing, God, but these phone lines is flaming, bruh. Meet me at the spot quickly, hit me to the details. We gotta be sneaky if we wanna prove theirs. Brother hands is tied, some transpired in his backyard. All fingers point to him if he react, God. The pigs is involved, they pretending to target. This dude gotta go, he violated somebody's daughter.
Straight up and down, man, violated.
The homie from OT. That ain't about nothing. Cause the brother owed me a favor. We handled a problem for him a couple months back. Did it real smooth, where it wouldn't come back to haunt him. He said no problem. When I kited him, wait for things to die down, then we gon' bring the violence. Spent a couple months to get the routine down, yes sir. You already know how that revenge is best served. Got artillery and killers with ability to pop up. Wait for things to get slippery, then we gon' drop them. He got off scot-free on the technicality. A victim dies 1,000 deaths when justice isn't handled properly. Crept up on his property, his eye bugged when he saw the heat. Talking about don't kill me, but we ain't here for talking, B. We came dressed like UPS, and I brought a package. Oh, so you like touching girls, you little faggot? Lessons to be taught, but don't get caught. Justice must be brought, but don't get caught. What's the law? Put the ball in your court. Get it done, but don't get caught. Blending with the dark and don't get caught. Study your mark and don't get caught. You know you right. In your heart of hearts, stake out your enemies and don't get caught. Crossing T's, dotting I's, see opportunity and then you capitalize. Never send a boy to do a man's job, or use silk to go and swat flies. If we serious about this cracker's demise, then we gotta be wise and improvise. Anytime someone molests a child, he should be fed his fingers before he dies. Nah, these ain't just rhymes and tired of being tired. Pigs kill our babies and they mamas cry. Brothers say it is what it is and don't even try. Figure a limb for a limb and an eye for an eye will make a fool think twice and make a spy recognize. Those the same people that put fire to your behinds of any to ever endeavor in our defeat. They had to make us think that we are free. We're unstoppable when faced with adversity. We gotta put in work, but DGC laundry list of enemies. We gotta stop this onslaught. Get it done, but don't get caught. The spook who sat by the door. Warriors I implore. DGC. This is raw shadow law. The sword is they lord, but that bow make them bow. Ask Nanny, ask Zumbi, and ask Hannibal. Lessons to be taught, but don't get caught. Justice must be brought, but don't get caught. What's the law? Put the ball in your court. Get it done, but blending with the dark and don't get caught. Study your mark and don't get caught. You know you're right. In your heart of hearts, stake out your enemies and don't get caught. Black man, we got creeps, pedophiles, roaming our neighborhoods, our communities, preying on our children. What we waiting for? Approval from who? Mask up, load up, and handle our business. But don't get caught. Yeah, don't get caught. Yeah, yeah. My yassa, a sapo. Yeah. The King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Oh Mawali, Ambassador of Ambassadors. Until we move on one accord. An L is what we can't afford. Gotta protect our spinal cords, cause snakes shed skin, but not their nature. I said snakes shed skin, but not their nature. I said snakes shed skin, but not their nature. Process of elimination, binomial nomenclature. Remember we're talking about a thing and its very makeup. And how far does it really stray from? Snakes shed skin, but not their nature. Yep, snakes shed skin, but not their nature.
Now, if you just seen this as a you having the craft and the skill set that you have, but as an onlooker, what's your thoughts on this?
If I'm seeing all the mistakes I made, that's one thing. But as it's up my alley as far as entertainment go, like this. So as an onlooker, I'm looking at the story. I'm looking at how it was put together. I'm looking at what they did. I'm looking at the fact that they stalked this guy. I'm looking at how they gave you an insight of his day-to-day, how he be in places where children be, scoping children out with foul intentions. As far as like criticism goes, some of the color correcting could have been a little better on the technical aspect. Some of the shots were overexposed, so that right there, I noticed that being critical. That's on the critical part. There's some things I didn't know about with the special effects that I could have done to made it better, like with the gunshot. I could have added I could have threw a blur effect on the actual flame, which would have gave it a more realistic look coming out the gun. I thought I did a good job for what I did, but knowing what I know now, I could have made that shit. I could have had people jumping when they seen that shit. One of the biggest blunders in that video, nobody's ever really called it out, but one of the biggest blunders in that video was in the final scene when Knowledge Born, when they come into Knowledge Born, the hallway door is open. That should have been shut. If you look over to the hallway to the right of not Knowledge Born, pardon me, Born Allah, Born Master. When you look at to the right of Born Master, which you'll see the room that we were using when they ran down on the pedophile. That's the same room. And if you look at it, you can see the chandelier, you can see the brown wall. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's clear as day if you're actually paying attention. But I tried to hide it so much when I realized that it was open that you don't really see it. But it also took away from it because the shot was better. It's just that you could see in that room too clearly. And I was that was like the biggest blunder of that. But that is something that I would like to see as far as the video, because it was a cinematic video. The video told the story, and it didn't necessarily follow the lyrics of the song, like as what was going on to what's going on in the video, but it stayed with the idea and the theme from what's going, like it's the video, it's the song. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it's when you see that video, it's the song. You know, everybody showed up, everybody did their thing. The only issue with that film, me looking at that video, would be technical things, lighting issues, color corrected issues. You know, it's super hard to look at it like I didn't do it. Like, it's super hard to just look at it like I'm critiquing somebody else's work.
You know, they do that shit with rappers. They have their lyrics up and they don't know it's their lyrics.
That's because somebody else done wrote the shit for them.
Oh shit! Oh, there you go.
Man. So they reciting some shit that they don't remember because they didn't create it. Yeah, it's hard to look at it and just think from the angle of me not doing it. And then I'm not the fan that a lot of other people might be of some of my work. I'm the critic. Now, that particular one is one of my personal favorites because I got to be cinematic with it. Bomani had hit me up with the idea, like, yo, we want to do it where, like, we're stalking this pedophile and, you know, at the end we catch up with him or something. I don't even know if they actually even had the ending played out, you know, because I put it together as far as the visuals, you know what I'm saying? Like, Bomani gave me the idea of where we're gonna go with it. I don't know if he mentioned the park or not, but I know that once we got it flowing, I pretty much came up with all of this. I came up with the scenes. I directed it. You know what I'm saying? So that would be a situation where it'd be like the story by Bomani, and then, you know, screenplay was me. I did the screenplay, so to speak. Like, you know, I had the idea of, you know, going to pick up, you know, that was my cousin they picked up, but go pick my cousin up, have him be the extra soldier on standby, you know, have him go to the house. The song helped out because they had to knock on the door with the package part. So, you know, we just kind of ran with that. And I hate watching a lot of those videos in that time period because all I see is the mistakes. All I see is, damn, if I had a better camera, if I had better this, or if, you know, we had more time to do this, or if I noticed that, or if I knew how to do this, then, because there was a lot of shit I didn't know how to do technically. Because I didn't come from the digital world. I came from, you know, back when you had to splice reels to edit. So it's like I came from a different element. So there's different things that you need to do when you're in the digital element that I just knew how to put the shit together. I just knew how to put the scene together and how to make it look dope as far as the shot.
You know, they said that Stephen King went into the book store where his books was at and opened up the book, pulled out his red pen, started red inking his own shit in the store. You know what I'm saying? Said he's in the aisle at the bookstore with his book, red inking his shit, correcting the shit in the store.
because you know a lot of this stuff was done in a certain time fashion that didn't allow the perfection of it from the artist's standpoint. A lot of times what you're seeing isn't what the artist intended, it's what the artist was able to create with the resources from what he intended. Not all the time, but in a lot of cases. A lot of cases, you know, shit. This fly almost got AIDS or something. He flying slow as hell. There's no reason why I didn't slap his ass. But yeah, but you know, especially when you look at independent films or films with smaller budgets or things like that, a lot of times these directors, you know, they have to get they look back and they like, damn, yo, this shot wasn't that good, or I didn't like this take, or I didn't like that take. And, you know, they have to figure out ways to make it work in post-production, or to enhance what they don't like, or to take out what they don't like, whatever they got to do. But they got to find ways to do that in the post-production. Whereas you might have a big budget film and you might have all the time in the world where they done literally allotted time just for reshoots. You know, they done already projected that we're going to look at the footage and not like X amount of it and have to reshoot so much of it. You know what I'm saying? Which then, to be honest with you, every filmmaker, if you talk to them, every filmmaker will tell you the same thing. They always, if they could reshoot what they shot, if they could go back and reshoot it, how much better it would be. So when you have these directors with these budgets and these big studio productions, and they're able to actually do that, you know, after watching a lot of it, like they're able to sit back and watch edited scenes and say, damn, you know what? We're going to reshoot this whole scene. Or where they're able to spend a complete 8 to 12 hours on one scene, getting one shot over and over again until they're satisfied, or 2 days of the same scene until they're satisfied. Because you get to fix every nuance, every issue that you come across, you get to make the adjustment for. Because certain things you might have in your brain as an idea, but it doesn't translate right because you're dealing with elements, you're dealing with certain things that don't give you that. You might be dealing with space, you might be dealing with shade, you might be dealing with lighting that doesn't work for you at this angle because you have a light in front of you if you do it like this. Like certain elements might take away from what you envisioned originally. So, and you still haven't went and did that. Now with the chance to look back at it and see how you can make it better, you know.
Was a question for you, Che. The ability to rap about this topic that plays our community was incredible because you made it digestible. Would you redo this song video to modernize it?
The ability to rap about this topic that plagues our community was incredible because you made it digestible. Would you redo this song video? Yeah, I would. Actually, I would, or maybe do another. I wouldn't want to say a sequel, but you know, do another song with a real similar theme, or do something real similar. But yeah, absolutely. Just because of, I felt like the message was important, and it is one of them things that plagues our community. That was one of those things where, on every angle, I was with. I was with from the conception of it. When I heard the song, yeah, let's do that video. I pushed to actually do that video to the point where I did a clip before the video was even, we was gonna do that. I did a clip just to, you know, of them doing that video, just to get the excitement, as that's gonna be our next video. When we did the True Champs video, I put that in the end of it And then I went and shot the video because that scene isn't even in the video at the end of True Champs. You know what I mean? But it just looks like it because we're in the same stairway. But what was I gonna say? But absolutely though. But I'll go as far as to say this: I'm actually looking to turn that particular story into a full-length film. So in the next few years, that's one of the films that I'm looking. That's one of the stories that I got that I'm looking to turn into a film based on that song and video.
Wow, that's all. I'm gonna be in the Snakes video.
You said you're gonna be in the next video?
I'm be in the Snakes video.
Oh, the Snakes video?
Yeah.
What Snakes video?
The Snakes video that's coming up. I'm gonna be in it.
Which one? Ain't no Snakes video.
I'm gonna be in it. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna be in it. Cobra Commander style.
Wow. Well, you said Cobra Commander style. You gonna be in it?
Oh yeah. You got final thoughts to end on this joint right here? What you want to say that you ain't said on the way out?
I think I kind of touched on a lot of things. I guess the next time we'll get into different. We'll do comparatives on different films and get more into depth on some of the things that we touched up on, and examples. Like we'll review some of the topics that we touched up on and get more of examples and contrast, because we won't just give you the negative necessarily, but we'll give you the contrast as well. So I mean,
we could go through each element, the setting, good setting versus bad setting, good character development versus bad character development.
I do want to leave the people with this though, and this is sincere, as sincere and serious as I can be. When it comes to Hollywood, when it comes to the entertainment business, it is a weapon that has been created and used to destroy us, period. It's just they use it to destroy our image, to how other people view us. They use it to destroy how we view ourselves, to how what we think is cool and what we don't think is cool. It's a powerful, powerful tool, And the reason why, what makes it so powerful is because the same way that these images, be putting us to sleep or can control a narrative, or the same way that images can wake us up and redirect the narrative. So it's real important what we're doing. And when you look at a TV program, and when you look at a film, it's good to look and see who is the executive producers, who is the ones funding the money for these projects or allowing the spaces and places for these projects to exist. And look at the names and look at the families that these people come from, the experiences that these people come from. And it'll really drive home to what I'm trying to say as far as the weapon that they use. So don't expect to look at Hollywood and see a whole bunch of images or see a whole bunch of films that don't have some type of theme that is detrimental to our wealth, our health and welfare at all. Like, don't expect that at all. I don't care if it's a black director, a so-called black film. If it's coming out of the engine that's called Hollywood, you can't expect much from it. Not to say that there's not any black directors or any black filmmakers out there that care about their people and love us. It's just that when you're going through those channels, they always have to find some type of weapon to use against you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cinematic Che Blak, the god eye in the industry.
Black Power Media Gorilla.
Shit. Yeah.
Conscious rap, nah homie, we off that. This warfare music, don't dare confuse it. Barrel of that fully looking something like a pool stick. 100-shot extension plus another with a full clip. I'm hardcore like the center of a beach. Known to bring war in the middle of your street. That's Aline's demeanor, hard like a winter breeze. Ready for the beat, straight swarm on my enemies. Bomb like Tel Aviv, more arms than centipede. Rebel with the chrome hair blown, John Kennedy. Slaughter Caucasians, Crystal Lake, I'm Jason. Interrogations, down at the station. No one knows, mouth closed like a mason. Wondering who worse, this white boy or Satan. Good ship Jesus, packed up plankton. On the same boat, you was Kunta, I was Nat. You was running from them crackers, I was running them back. Llama on my side, no problem to let it fire. Fact is, I'ma be in drama till I die. My life, something like a Jim Brown movie. Beefing with the mob, punk pigs trying to shoot me. Surging with the pump, put in work with the Uzi. Or let that Max spit rip your ass like a loose.
Yeah. Shay and O is something like Ray and Ghost, only built for warriors, killers, and cutthroats. For the supporters, this for the warriors. Got hands that'll smack hydrogens out of water. When push come to shove come to slug. I don't condone drugs, so I plug the plug. Still killer even with a smile on my mug. Jerked at the RBG Awards, but it's all love. And if it isn't grudge, why do I feel this way? Why Black Power stay on my mind? Get in line.
Suckers acting like they wanted to, they see that blue steel. You don't know what beef is, homeboy, you need to chill. My 4-4 pop, the god of for sure shot. Che Blak and Doc Mop, warlord and a warlock. Buckshots and rock spots, turn cops to pork chops. Crush like Carthage, crashing on Camelot. Divine architect from Kemet to Anglewatt.
Asabo's in the house, can't stop, won't stop. Off and on, it's on. 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 Yo, so advanced, I'm late and early, little fella. Your future's in my past, the male version of Sierra. Kill the ambassador, rap with the hologram of Coachella. African centered, self-centered with the metal. Fly guy, keep my head high. This beat is body, better off dead. Why? Oh, with Shay like O'Shea and Dre. Natural born killers, then I throw away the throwaway.
Doc Mop, Che Blak, Beetle Green. Matter of fact,
Rap satisfied, truth get magnified. Wake up passerby half the time and take the hacking line. Battle force in Star Wars, I'm Beetle Green. Skill evader with the pen and paper, exposing the Palpatines. What I live and breathe, heard the people missing green. Slap a tom once a week so my points never misconceived. Ain't for dancing, it's to motivate the brother standing. I only rap ratchet if my hand around the cannon. Aim at the hooded clan and Uncle Sam and Sanson. Let me show you, I wrote a pamphlet for signs of understanding. I'm like years ahead of succumbing to white fear. I fight bears, replay volume 1 and hear a pioneer that raises your babies to shoot down flying deer. This is how the permits not, they can fry your hair. In my ear, we fire here, we don't hire here. Got tired ears from young thugs that be rhyming weird. Strength in my heart, my core, my leg, and my arms. Power in my psalms, ain't for praise, it's for alarm. Cause you people too calm, wolf slaying the fawns. Acting through an accent, serve the king, you play the pawn. Chess move, checkmate and less moves. Leave your face redder than Deadpool. Life in a cesspool, power from the wisdom cells. Burn crews, Winterfell, can't move like a knife, they choose to take a L. Populated nations reduced by administrations. Purchase contamination, self-inflicted decimation. Investigation ain't needed, history being repeated. You ain't the right type, consider yourself deleted. It be like Beetle back, I be like, nah, I'm still redeeming from an extended off season. I ain't even got my breathing. Veteran instincts, my seasoning ain't for eating, it's for freedom, redemption, and these governments defeated.
Off and on, it's on. Off and on, it's on. Off and on, it's on. Off and on, it's on.